Good evening everybody, we're back on Dartmoor, same place. Well actually it's not quite the same place, we're down by the stream today because we've brought a different shelter today. I was kind of sort of wondering what to bring. I checked the weather forecasters, it's supposed to be reasonable today, windy tomorrow and maybe foggy tomorrow with a southwesterly wind, sort of a west to southwest wind, and tomorrow might get windier and Wednesday morning so I think the wind could pick up. So given that there's going to be wind, obviously the trail star makes the most sense. Given that space is quite handy, the super mid makes a lot of sense. Could have brought the Acto, could have brought various other options. Instead I opted for the Tarp. Now it's not quite as ridiculous as it seems, not quite. I'll just show you what I've done and we will kind of sort of find out, whether it's a good idea, whether it works or not. I've not used a pole at the back. You can see it's not pitched right to the ground, but it's fairly close. We're not going to get hail, so hail can't get in. Rain's not going to get under there. Clearly if it gets very windy, wind could be a problem, but I can mitigate that by putting the pack at the end, and it's pretty low to the ground. That probably won't be a major problem. This is sort of westerly and then this is sort of southwesterly, so as you can see I've pitched quite close to the ground this side, which of course is is where I am, and then I pitched that side close to the ground as well. I've not quite put my bed right down the middle because it's handy to have some room to do things. I will say I've probably put the bed over that side more than I actually intended. I think it's just while I was pitching and fiddle-assing around with it and I was fiddle-assing around with it a bit, it kind of sort of shifted a bit, and I also did move the bivvy over a tiny bit, so we'll see how that goes. If it's if it's a bit too far, if it's too far to the left, then we can always shift things around a bit tomorrow. And again, tomorrow I'm not planning on going anywhere tomorrow. This is just I used to do hiking, walking with camping. I have to say more now, it's kind of turned more into a camping video and I just do a tiny bit of walking. It's just the way that it's kind of sort of worked out now, because I'm not expecting the wind to be coming from this direction, the north. I've pitched this side high. I will just say that Wednesday morning the forecast is that it might just swing around from a northerly direction, which is like this direction here. It's not anything about the east, so we should be fine. And if it does come from the west on Wednesday morning, then it's quite simple. I just move this peg closer, drop that side down. So I really don't see that being a problem. Now, I didn't get here until about 5 o'clock or after, and I've been, as I say, fiddle-assing around with it. So it's getting dark. It's going to be, the sun has set already, so I need to get inside in a minute. But basically what I've done is I've put Lass's pad over there. I've brought the self-inflating mat with me, and I hope that's going to be comfortable enough. I'm not a huge fan of those, but they have a lower profile, they're a bit thinner, so of course when everything's a bit lower, it's kind of handy that you're not on something that takes you up too high. So that's why I brought that. So, well, fingers crossed that it's comfortable enough. It really does look a mess as usual, in here. I've just got my cooking pot here, cup, food I've put over there, food there, fuel, water, and I've got to go and get more water. I've got food over there, and then my sleeping stuff I've put inside. Whether I do the bivvy up tonight or not, we'll see. Not necessarily. I brought the bivvy mainly because I like to pitch the front on this really quite high, and so to pitch it high, it is handy to have the bivvy, and then if you do get weather coming in or something and you do need the bivvy cover, then you've got it. But generally speaking, and also with the trail star, I can hook up that kilt to act as a barrier, but there's nothing to hook that kilt up on this, so that's why I brought the bivvy. But I may do it up, and I may not. We'll just see. It's no different to the other setup. It's I think the breeze is going to be about the same. Clearly this side is higher, but the breeze is coming from over that way anyway, so I don't see that being any different. Why bring this rather than a tent? Why not? It's just a bit, again, I just think it's a bit more space. You just got more space. This is a double. This is the MLD GRACE Duo. It's space. In a tent, you're just too cramped. With this, because it's a double, I can raise the front up really quite high, and I can have a load of room. I haven't got inside yet, so we'll kind of sort of see if that's true. Now I've moved the bed over to the left a bit, but you've just got a bit more room in there. Alright, it's starting to get a little bit on the chilly side on the hands, so I think it's time to duck inside. We'll get some water first, duck inside, and we'll kind of sort of wing this trip. It was almost a last minute decision to come out. It was either going to be this week or next week. My mind was kind of thinking next week, but with this this tiny little bug that's going around and disrupting everything, everything is like changes almost daily at the moment, so I didn't want to miss an opportunity to get down here, and you can't get any better self-isolation than down here in the middle of nowhere, pretty much, with nobody around. So that's why I sort of come out this week rather than next week. It's just let's get out while the going's good, as it were.
Well, good morning everybody. It's Tuesday 17th of March. We haven't caught any bugs out here, thankfully. Laughing but not laughing, you know what I mean. Okay, well, we had a very nice sleep, very, very welcome sleep. So I slept very well. There was no real wind, no rain that I'm aware of. It's raining now. but I'm not planning on, as I said, I'm not planning on doing anything or going anywhere today. I'm not really going to be able to film so much inside a tap. That was the advantage with the you know, the super mid. I could do some filming inside that, but I just wanted to, you know, quite literally dash out while the going was good with all this you know, this business with this bug going around. Apparently I have to call it a bug, because if I call it the proper term, YouTube doesn't like it, apparently. That's from what I've heard from other channels. So we'll just call it the bug. Funny actually, I was watching a film, The Quiet Place. I don't think I'd survive very long in The Quiet Place sometimes, because they don't stop talking and making noises and tripping over things and things like that. So I probably would get eaten quite quickly by the bugs or whatever the funny creature things are in A Quiet Place. Mind you, I'd probably learn quite quickly to shut my trap. When I was pitching the tarp, as I mentioned, I pitched it initially. When I pitched it, it was more central. Then I did a bit of jiggery-pokery during the night, and sort of in the process of doing some jiggery-pokery, I kind of sort of shifted it a bit too fast. So I'm not quite in the middle. So when I get out later on, and I will just have a stretch of the legs just locally, I might just rejig it over ever so slightly, because I am brushing the top. So clearly there would be a bit more room in the well, I say there would be more room in the Acto than here. Clearly there's more room in the Trail Star, and most definitely the Super Mid, than here. And you've got more headroom, certainly in the Super Mid. The Trail Star, yeah, you've probably got a bit more headroom generally. The Acto, yeah, generally maybe a bit, but there's probably not that much. There's probably not that much in it. You know, obviously there is some. Again, the biggest difference, and I think this is quite important, as long as you've got enough room to sit up in one spot, as I do here. I'm sitting up, not quite Yoda-fied, but a bit Yoda-fied, but not too much. Here, back reasonably straight, and I'm touching that. Now I don't think I could do that in the Acto, not quite. You're a tiny bit more Yoda-fied in the Acto. Now I have put my pole to get me a erect pole, and I've stuck it quite high there to get the front, you know, as high as, you know, to get the front as high as possible, you know, for me to do this. So yes, my head is, if this was a Laurel and Hardy cartoon, if this was a Laurel and Hardy film, my head would be sticking out. So yeah, my head is, you know, clearly brushing. But, and this might sound a bit strange, but, and I haven't really used the room down here because obviously it's grass, but you've got some room down there. But look at the room that I've got, you know, in here, you know, in the Acto, you know, in the Acto, for argument's sake, and I'm not knocking the Acto. The Acto is a very, very, you know, the Acto is a beautiful tent. So I might sound like I'm knocking it, but I'm not really. But you know, you've got so much room here now. Could put stuff over there. Lassie's got room there. You know, bag over there, boots there. You know, I've got room to, you know, watch here. You know, Lassie's bag over there, a food over there. you know, my breakfast here, which I've got to eat. So yes, there are limitations to there are limitations to this shelter, and it'd be interesting to see what happens if the wind picks up, because clearly there is a breeze coming through as well. You know, I've not pitched it right to the ground, so you know, clearly you probably wouldn't want to be here in a hurricane like, say, the Trail Star. So you know, clearly there are limitations, but just again, I just think generally space-wise, you know, I just think it's much nicer space-wise. Anyway, I'm going to carry on watching A Quiet Place. I don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 months, whether I'll be able to get down here or not. If I'm allowed to. I hear in France they've banned all travel. You've got to stay at home. All travel is banned. So if they do that here, then clearly I'm not going to be able to get down here. But if we're not quite so draconian and they just say, you know, whatever, you know, that, because it's kind of a fine line, isn't it, with this bug thing? You know, yes, you've got to stay at home, avoid contact, etc., etc. But this is kind of like, for a couple of days, this is kind of like home. I'm certainly avoiding contact. There's nobody around for, I don't know, miles or whatever. So I'm not quite sure what the situation will be, you know, regarding, you know, getting down here. So it's kind of going to be a bit open, you know. If it's allowed, then I'll come down. If it's frowned upon but still allowed, I'll probably still try and get down here. Clearly, if you're going to get sent to prison, I don't fancy, you know, I don't fancy getting the tarp out in the middle of, you know, in the middle of the prison yard or something. So we'll kind of just have to, you know, play it by ear somewhat. That's kind of why I just wanted to dash down today, just in case I don't get any other opportunities. I was hoping to do some sub videos, but again, this weather is just not conducive. As you can see, it's raining out and misty, and so it's not really conducive to doing videos. I was going to do the old wristwatch check. Got the Yachtmaster on today. I was going to do a video on the Submariner, and I did bring it with me, but I probably won't get around to doing that. There's not quite enough room in here for that, but we'll see. Okay, well, this is us just outside the tap, quite literally just outside. This little piece of Cuban is very useful. It's very useful when you need to have a pee. You can just sort of walk to the end of it. You can just walk to the end of it and have your pee. So it's very useful. And also for inside, you can put bits on it as well. Okay, I think that rain is starting to come again, but this is the outside. You can see the back is pitched very low there. Like I said, a little bit later Not too late, I don't know. I'll check this forecast and see whether there's rain coming in, because I don't want to be fiddling around with this if it's raining later. So I might just check the forecast. Because all I need to do is just put my boots on, and then I can just rejig this, you know, just for a few seconds, a minute or two. And I need water as well. But it is definitely quite cool out here. I haven't done my coats up. And it is cooling off a lot. My hand is getting quite cold. So, even though there might be a gap, the tarp is definitely keeping most of the breeze out and keeping me warm. It is definitely a lot warmer inside than out. Of course, Lassie is obviously found some water to play in as usual. The forecast did say mist today, and they're not wrong. I think mist most of the day too. Alright, that's enough of me out here. I'm gonna nip back in. Okay, well, I've checked the forecast, and the forecast basically for all of today is mist. So I don't think this mist is going to go at all, and it's basically like a 10% chance of rain, which is it's doing now. And I guess that's really coming from the mist, so I think I just grab an opportune, it's not heavy rain when it does rain, so I think I just grab an opportune moment to whip out and just I just want to move this over just this way, just ever so slightly. All it means doing literally is just loosening off these three lines here and tightening them up the other side, really, and then I'll just move the whole thing over a fraction. Hopefully it is no more complicated than that. And getting some water, but it's certainly nice to be out here relaxing away from the madness of the world. The old stock market has just completely and utterly crashed, which is so unfortunately cost me a bit, but it should bounce back at some point or other. And it's strange, eh? We're going along in our little lives, everything, you know, hunky-dory. And now we've got, you know, this bug business. It's just shows we're frail little humans who can't fight off a silly little pesky buggy thing. And now I hear we've got places closing, and you never really believe it in this day and age, would you really? Anyway, I mean, the bug will go away eventually. It can't hang around forever and ever. I think the biggest problem is now it probably will never go away. It'll probably always be in the system somewhere or other. The pooch is eating, and it's raining, but you can see I'm pretty close, you know, to the door. That's obviously the lack of a door, but there's no rain getting in here, or virtually nothing. And okay, it's not exactly blowing a gale, but there's no wind either. As I said, there's not much of
a breeze anyway. But it's surprisingly homely, this, to be honest. Surprisingly homely. I probably wouldn't want to be here if it was like really windy like it was last time. I think we'd have far too much wind blowing around the place, because clearly that really was windy. But you know, with not too much wind, as it were, I have to say it's pleasantly pleasant. Just for a change, I brought a tube of this with me, so I had that with some bread, and like I said, I couldn't. Now I'm right in the. It's a bit damp there. You know, I'm inside the shelter, and yet I can sit up completely here and be completely sheltered by the elements, and it's very comfortable. So again, you know, I appreciate it's not blowing a gale, but this is fine. This is very comfortable. And I say again, you know, in conditions even like this, why use a tent when you can have more room with something like this? I don't miss a tent at all. I don't. And people say he's a MLD fanboy or something like that. Maybe I am a bit. But I guess any company that makes a tarp, you know, you could use. I like Cuban fibre very much in a material. It's not going to sag. It's just perfect shelter material for these types of shelters. Other people probably think that he's a hard man who can get No, I'm not hard at all. I'm going to rephrase that. But I probably have me moments. I don't think it's about being hard and manly to get out in this. I just think it's comfortable, really. I mean, you can see there's you know, you can see that this thing's blowing here a bit, and obviously there's not very much room down there, but I don't need room down there. You know, down there there's room for my legs and my feet, and that's all I need down there. I don't need any more room down there other than legs and feet. I'm not doing anything down there, so it doesn't matter that there isn't so much room down there. I'm not doing anything down there, so it's fine. You know, the only bit where I need room is really this bit here, even if there's not so much room, you know, in the middle. Again, let's see. Again, it doesn't matter that there's no room in the middle. I don't need to do anything in the middle. I've got room here, you know, just inside the door, and you know, and I'm just, you know, you can see I'm maybe 6 inches or so, you know, what, 15 centimeters from the door or the entrance, and you know, I'm protected. It's fine. Clearly, if the wind changed direction, now that would be a different kettle of fish. Well, that's why I checked the forecast, so I know the wind is always going to be coming from the west or the southwest. So that's why I've obviously pitched the back to the wind, and I've pitched this side down to keep that side protected.
not only to keep me protected from any rain, but also keep that side low from the wind. So I'm more than comfortable and happy, and if that makes me an MLD fanboy, then good, that's fine. So yeah, I'm very comfortable here. Like I said, you don't, as long as you've got enough room in the right places, you know. I will admit I wouldn't really want the tarp, you know, down on my face at this end. That really wouldn't be so comfortable, but that's why I'm really pleased that I got this double, because it means I can pitch the front way up I can pitch the front very high. That's why I like these walking poles, the Comper, whatever they're called, that I must have got those from MLD as well, but that's why I like these poles. You can extend the pole quite high, and you can get the front of this really quite high, and the rain can be doing its rainy stuff outside, and I'm more than happy in here. Nice and dry, warm, comfortable, relaxing, not worrying about the world. Okay, maybe I'm not, you know, gallivanting all over the country, you know, walking somewhere exciting or something, but as I said many times before, at this moment in my time, this is more than enjoyable enough, and most importantly of all, relaxing enough for me. So, and I just want to be relaxing, I have to say, at the moment. Okay, well, I dashed outside. I don't know if you can now tell, but the centre line is now directly over my head. More by accident than wanting it, although I wanted to move it over, but when I say accident, I was aiming for this, but given that I'm the Frank Spencer of doing things, I'm amazed how she got it lined up directly over my head, but over my head I did. So we got damp outside, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I didn't. I kept my my important clothes I kept dry. My waterproof coat and I wore my Paramo trousers. They're down there. Oh, wristwatch check. Waterproof trousers or Paramo trousers, which kind of are half waterproof, and Paramo jacket. Got wet. When I was outside, somehow, I'm not quite sure how I did it, but I actually think I've got the back even closer to the ground, because the shape has definitely changed. I think there's less room under Lass's thing for her bed. Not that she used it last night, but they would certainly be, you know, there's plenty of room there for her to, you know, to lie down if she so desires to to join us in here. If not, then anyway, there's still plenty of room there for her. I've made it so I can still sit up. If anything, I've made the front a fraction higher, but as I say, I've probably made the back, I don't know if it's specifically lower, but you can't really see out the back. I've definitely made this side lower here. This is right to the ground. This line here
And in fact, if it wasn't for a dip there in the ground, that would be right, you know, right to the ground. These edges over here, I've kept them high off the ground. One, clearly it gives more room for Lassie, marginally. Clearly in an emergency with Lassie, I could clear a space here and put her bed there where she had more space, but she's got plenty of room there for lying down. You probably can't hear Lassie, but I can hear Lassie. She's down in the river splashing. I can hear this splunch, splunch, splunch sound. So, we've been out. We've done what we needed to do. It's 2:30. Time for another tea, I think. Time for another tea, and we will we'll just proceed from there really. I'm gonna have another tea, put another film on, chill out and relax, do a bit more filming. Probably won't go out today. Probably just stay in here today, even though it's stopped raining at the moment, but there's quite a breeze, and I think I'll wait until the weather's a little bit better and everything's a bit more settled everywhere, and then I can do some more. I'll do some walking, you know, in the spring or summer, and do some more sub video. I'd like to do some more sub videos. As I say, I'd like to do a video on my first aid kit, my repair kit, and things like that, but I really just think, you know, those are things that will, you know, they'll keep for the moment. We've got all our lives ahead of us. For now, I'm just going to chill out and relax and hopefully not bore you too much more. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. It's about 11:30. Thought I'd put the Explorer on today. Right, well, I've been awake a couple of hours ish, give or take a bit. It's as you can see, the weather is not exactly improved from yesterday. The only difference is it's about the same really. Maybe less rain. It rained on and off, misty rain yesterday afternoon and into the evening, but not too bad. And there is still some misty rain now. So around camp, we've just got to put the electronic department away. So yeah, I'm just watching Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, kind of as a background thing while I'm putting a few bits together. I quite like having a film on for, I don't know if it's company as such, but I quite like having a film on when I'm getting things sorted. So we're getting a bit organised in here. So my coat and trousers there, God alone knows how wet or dry they are. Camera bag here, gloves for wearing back to the car. I brought extra towels with me. I brought 2 towels, one for me, one for Lassie. As it turned out, neither was needed for either of us, but I did use one of them to wipe down yesterday the inside of the tap. For some reason, I can't explain why, because the weather is the same as yesterday. There's no condensation in here today, whereas there was yesterday. So I don't know whether there's some mathematical formula to explain that one. I brought a lot more food than was needed. So I'm actually taking back a whole bag full of food. That's my repair kit and first aid kit and just repair kit and just sort of, you know, spare bits in there which I bring with me. And I've got some extra bread here as well. I've easily got enough. Obviously I have to get going today, but I've easily got enough food for another day and night, really. I use the bivvy just in case it got you know, damp or something like that. Some condensation, as I say, developed on the tarp yesterday, which got the top of this, you know, a little bit damp, but that's what this is for, of course. And in fact, it didn't get it very damp at all, and I was able to wipe it down, and it hasn't been you know, it hasn't been wet at all in here. I'm quite pleasantly surprised how well this tarp did. Yes, it, as I said yesterday, it goes down very low at the back, but as long as I've got enough room for my feet, and my feet did touch the top a couple of times when it was quite flowy. But generally speaking, it did a very, very good job. Again, I probably wouldn't want to be in here if the weather was really, really windy. I think it would be far too drafty, but and if the wind changed the direction, then that wouldn't be so brilliant. But I have to say, generally speaking, I was very impressed with this. And you really do have, you know, loads of room in here, so you can see everything all spread out. You know, there's lasses packed, my boots. I got a bit of my, I got my own I got my own landscape feature in here. But you know, lasses beds over there, and the packs down there in the pretty much in the dry. My clothes here are in the dry. So yeah, headroom, you know, is like clearly limited once you get, you know, further back, but you know, up here you've got stacks of headroom, and in fact I've got, you know, I'm actually sitting up and I've got headroom. This bivvy did very well. I think it's an older design. I've certainly had this one a few years now. Never once did it up. I just basically used it as a cover over the sleeping bag down there, mainly just to protect the tail end of the sleeping bag. I never once did the, you know, the front of it up at all. I think I did it up briefly the first night, but I soon found that after 20 minutes or something that it just, you know, it was just more comfortable out of it, really. So I just used it as like an over quilt thing. Okay, well, we're making good progress in packing. Well, it's pretty good progress in packing, and still it's surprising how much more there is to go, but it's not that much more. Basically what we've done so far, I'm trying to pack inside because it's pretty manky outside. So what can you see? So I folded up the airbed, and that's gone at the back, and then I've put quite a few bits in already. I've not yet put my trousers on, so you can have a a gratuitous leg shot. So I'm just going to put my trousers on soon, and then I've just got these few bits here just to go in. Around here it's not too much. I'm going to make one confession. Inside this bag, unopened, which I've just left it in there the entire time, the trail star. I did bring the trail star. It would have been interesting if the weather had been a bit nicer yesterday to have, you know, got it out pitched it next to this, but it was so miserable, frankly, I just wanted, I couldn't be bothered. Sorry. I was never actually planning on pitching it, although I brought pegs and poles, you know, to do it just in case. I mainly brought it just in case I wasn't comfortable in this, given it's March, the weather was pretty pants, and everything like that. So I kind of brought it as an emergency backup. I just about had space. It's so light, weight's not a problem. So I did pack it in, you know, just in case. Clearly you don't normally bring two shelters, but it wasn't needed. As I said, I was really very, very, you know, I was pleasantly surprised at how well this tarp performed. It really did well. Like I said, the only downside would be if the rain, you know, if the wind turned around on me, I would have had little protection from the door and no way of really hooking something up. I would have had to have relied on the bivvy to protect me. And one thing I have discovered, and I'd never really thought of this before, but the bivvy, when it's done up, the mesh, as you can see, is here. I can't see if that's in focus, but the mesh is here. So when that was done up, if the weather did turn around, you'd actually have mesh there. So it wouldn't actually give you, you know, a huge amount of protection from, you know, the weather if it came in the other way. You'd still have to rejig things. So I hadn't really thought about that before. But as I said, you know, it just wasn't needed. The funny thing is that I've discovered is in the summer when there are bugs around, you know, we tend to cocoon ourselves inside bug bivvies and inners and things like that. Well, and I usually bring a, you know, a cooler rated sleeping bag, or a warmer rated sleeping bag, whichever way you look at it. Anyway, you know what I mean. And I often find that when I'm out of that cocoon thing, it can be a bit on the cool side sometimes, you know, like spring, autumn time. And I've often thought, you know, when it's like that, you kind of like think, well, if you need that cocoon thing in the spring and summer and autumn when the bugs are around, bug time, so not really spring or autumn, but summertime, sometimes it can just be a little bit cooler in the morning. You know, you think, well, maybe surely you must need like a cocoon thing around you in the winter, but really, you don't. You don't. As long as your sleeping bag is warm enough and you've got cover for your head, and I found now that a really good protection for my head is my fleece hat, and if really necessary, which it hasn't been, I could put my wind shirt hood up, and that really does give excellent cover for the head. And like I said, we've not had a frost. Okay, it was pretty cold last time, but you know, other than last time, we've not really had a frost down here. But there have been times when it's been really, 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 really cold down here. And you know, and I've needed, you know, my balaclava. You've seen videos of me with my balaclava like some sort of MLD criminal or something. I've not, doing it this way, I've not needed a balaclava, which I have to say has been a bit of an advantage, really, because the balaclava is a bit constrictive and it's not that nice to use. So anyway, I've been really very impressed with this setup. I have also cheated a little bit, and that's not really cheating, it's just using what's around you, but I have used the lay of the land to help a little bit. So where I'm sleeping, again, I don't know whether the video really, you know, shows it, but I'm kind of down in a slight dip here. So I've tried to sort of pitch the tarp you know, on a slight rise at the back, so that the bit that I'm sleeping in is lower than the bit at the back, and I think that's kind of helped a little bit with this configuration. I think if the ground was completely flat, which is also why I camped here by the river or the stream or the brook, whatever you call it, rather than my usual position where it's completely flat. I think if I was camping somewhere completely flat, it would have been slightly more difficult, or maybe a bit more constrictive under here. But I've tried to pitch it where I've used the land around me to raise the tarp. Yeah, I've had room because I've been a bit lower than the land around the tarp. I'm sure you can get what I mean. So that's kind of, you know, deliberately why I came down here. So I have used this area before. Okay, well, I'm going to carry on doing a bit more packing. It really can't be that cold, and I know it's chilly outside because I've stood out briefly earlier and it was chilly, but I've been sitting here for a while chatting, you know, with the old legs out, and I'm not cold at all. I put the mat under this here, and again, that's what I'm sitting on now, and that's giving insulation from the ground. So always worth bringing a foam, you know, mat with you. And that's about really where we are. I tell you, that is really not nice. I really don't know what you can see out there, but it's it's really not nice at all. Very misty, and it really hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all from yesterday. It's the same. The forecast did say, what did the forecast say? I forgot my forecast. It did say like cloud today, fog yesterday and cloud today. Well, it is cloud, but very low cloud. Okay, well, I think what I'm going to do is, unless I get another opportunity outside, and I might try and film around the tent briefly, but if I do, it will be just a quickie out there, and save me stopping on the way back. I can edit this around here, you know, a bit. I'm just going to thank you for watching once again. It's probably been a bit of a rambly video once again. Like I said, once this virus business sorts itself out, hopefully things will return back to normal in the not too distant future. I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is safe, fit and well. You know, keep safe, keep your distance from other people. A couple of miles is quite good, but you know, keep your distance, wash your hands, which, you know, I think all of those things can help, and I'm sure that we can, you know, beat this virus back, you know, pretty soon, I hope. I think it's caught a lot of people off guard, to be honest. Even I was slightly poo-pooing it earlier on, but yeah, it's pretty serious, and a pretty serious, nasty little blighter, to be honest. So, you know, stay safe, warm, comfortable, look after yourselves, especially the old ones out there. There's a few old fogies that watch me, so you especially look after yourselves. And depending on travel restrictions and things like that, hopefully I will get down here again in April, because let's face it, I'm only going from home in the car, which is an enclosed space, to here, which is an open space with nobody around. So, you know, as long as I'm not breaking any laws or anything like that, which I would be in France at the moment, and probably Italy, we'll just have to sort of, you know, see how it goes. But, you know, everybody take care. Hopefully this all sorts itself out, you know, very soon, and and we can all get back to some sort of normality. Not that I've ever been normal. But thanks for watching. The usual thing, if you've got this far, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button so you can be notified of future videos. Next time, who knows what I'll do. I quite like it here for me. It's not just viruses, it's just the way things are with life at the moment. For me, it's just really convenient and comfortable just to nip down here. It's a bit of a break, to be honest, which I kind of need. That's why I'm quite happy, to be honest, just relaxing on this middle day, as it were. But once the weather gets nicer, then I'll probably do a walk in between of some description into the spring, summer. I'll try and do some more sub videos. I really enjoyed doing those, but really I either need the super mid to do that in, because there's just a lot more room in there, or I need good weather outside, which we'll get soon, and then I can be outside and do little sub videos. And then I can do little sub videos outside when it's you know, dry and not necessarily sunny, but dry and not blowing a gale. Alright, well, this is probably going to be another long video. I thought with me just, you know, not doing anything, it'd probably be a short video, but it's probably going to be another long video. So I don't know whether people watch all of them, like the whole I don't know whether people watch the full length of my videos. But good luck if you do. Like I said, I might film outside, I might not. We'll see, kind of see how it goes. But if I do, this is my goodbye, and I will edit around this. Until next month, hopefully, stay safe, stay alive, and, you know, good luck to everybody. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. I promised a little walk around video, so we'll just walk around. So you can see that I've pitched this side very close to the ground here, and the back here very, very close to the ground. But it's raised off slightly. I've used this slight hill just to raise it up ever so slightly. And then to give, you know, some more space, I use long lines here to give space and height this side. And the wind is still blowing from the southwest, west and southwest. Okay, well, I'm going to get the rest of this packed away now. Once again, thanks for watching.